I never thought my own parents would choose a weekend getaway over their sick granddaughter. When Delia's fever spiked to 103 degrees, my desperate call to mom was met with excuses about their much-needed vacation. Missing that promotion meeting cost us financial stability for months. I stopped helping them afterward, so they demanded money instead. Their tearful calls now ring hollow after years of their selfishness. I should have recognized the pattern sooner. Let me know where you're watching from. Hit that like and subscribe button as I share how I finally stood up to my manipulative parents. 3 years ago, I became a single father when my wife lost her battle with cancer. Our daughter Delia was only 5 at the time, and I found myself thrust into a world of solo parenting that I was completely unprepared for. Every day became a delicate balancing act between being there for my grieving child and maintaining my career at Thompson Marketing, where I worked as a mid-level manager. The constant juggling of school pickups, doctor appointments, and work deadlines left me perpetually exhausted. During those first dark months after the funeral, my parents stepped up in ways I never expected. Mom took a month off work to stay with us cooking meals and helping Delia adjust to life without her mother. Dad spent weekends fixing things around our house that had fallen into disrepair during my wife's illness. They promised they would always be there for us, that we would get through this tragedy together as a family. Family sticks together through thick and thin. Dad would say, his hand on my shoulder, "Whatever you need, day or night, we are here for you both." I leaned heavily on their support during those early days of grief. They became our weekend routine Sunday dinners at their house, where Delia could momentarily forget our broken home and enjoy Grandma's chocolate chip pancakes. They became our emergency contacts at school, our backup childcare when work ran late. I began to believe their promises of unconditional support. What they gave, however, I returned tenfold over the years. Financial struggles hit hard after my wife's passing. The medical bills piled up despite insurance, and suddenly supporting a household on a single income became a precarious balancing act. The senior marketing director position that opened up at work represented not just a career advancement but financial salvation. The 40% salary increase would mean no more choosing between paying for Delia's asthma medication and keeping our electricity on. The improved health benefits would cover her treatments fully, rather than the 70% our current plan offered. For 2 years, I had worked toward this promotion. Perfect performance reviews, volunteering for difficult projects, early mornings, and late nights learning skills to make me indispensable. My boss had all but confirmed the position was mine if I impressed the board at the upcoming Friday presentation. Meanwhile, I continued supporting my parents in countless ways. When Dad lost his job 5 years ago, I loaned them $15,000 from my modest savings without hesitation. I never asked for repayment even when they bought a new car the following year. Every weekend involved some household repair at their place, fixing leaky faucets, rewiring problematic outlets, mowing their lawn when Dad's back pain flared up. Their computer issues became my regular Sunday evening task, and I drove them to medical appointments whenever they asked, rearranging my work schedule to accommodate their needs. The week everything fell apart started normally enough. Delia had a slight sniffle on Monday, but nothing concerning. By Wednesday, she had developed a mild cough, but her temperature remained normal, and she insisted on going to school. I was deep in preparation for my presentation, rehearsing key points during my lunch breaks and finalizing slides late into each night. On Tuesday, Mom mentioned their upcoming weekend trip to a wine country resort about 3 hours away. "We've been planning this for months," she gushed over the phone. "The place has 5-star reviews, and we got a special rate for our anniversary weekend." I congratulated them and thought nothing more of it. Their anniversary was important, and they deserved some time away. Thursday night changed everything. I tucked Delia into bed around 8:30, noticing she felt warmer than normal. By 10, she woke up crying, her forehead burning under my palm. The thermometer read 101, and her cough had deepened. I gave her children's fever reducer and called our pediatrician's after-hours line. Dr. Martin advised close monitoring overnight. With her asthma history, watch her breathing closely. If her fever goes above 103, or she shows any signs of respiratory distress, take her to the emergency room immediately. Otherwise, keep her comfortable and bring her in tomorrow morning. Anxiety gnawed at my stomach. The presentation was scheduled for 11 the next morning, right when I would likely be sitting in the pediatrician's office. I called my parents around 11, hoping they could help. Delia's running a pretty high fever, I explained, trying to keep my voice steady. I may need you to either take her to the doctor tomorrow morning or sit with her while I go to this presentation. It's the big one for the promotion. Mom's hesitation spoke volumes before her words did. Oh, honey, you know we're leaving for our trip early tomorrow. Couldn't you find a neighbor to help? What about that nice woman next door, Mrs. Patterson works during the day, I replied, my heart sinking. Mom, this presentation is crucial for us. The promotion would mean financial stability, better health insurance for Delia. Well, she hedged. Maybe you could take her to the doctor early and still make your meeting, or reschedule the doctor visit for the afternoon. Dad's voice joined in the background. Tell him we already paid for the resort. Non-refundable. The conversation ended with vague sympathies but no offer of help. I hung up feeling uneasy but still hoping Delia might improve by morning, making the point moot. Friday dawned with Delia worse, not better. Her temperature had climbed to 103 degrees despite medication, and her breathing had a slight wheeze that triggered alarm bells for any parent of an asthmatic child. Panic rose in my chest as I held her small, burning body against mine, her pajamas damp with sweat. With shaking hands, I called my parents one more time at 6:30 in the morning, knowing they planned to leave by 7. Mom. My voice cracked with stress. Delia's fever is 103 now, and her breathing doesn't sound right. I have to take her to the doctor or maybe even the emergency room. I cannot make this presentation today. I need your help. The silence lasted several seconds before Mom responded, her voice unnaturally firm. Jason, I am sorry Delia is sick, but we have been planning this trip for months. We are not willing to sacrifice our weekend. You are her father, this is your responsibility. Call a babysitter service or something. This isn't about babysitting, I said, anger and disbelief rising. She's seriously sick and needs care. This is your granddaughter. And we have supported you constantly since Sarah died. Dad interjected, having apparently been listening. We deserve this weekend away. You need to handle your own child. The call ended abruptly, leaving me staring at my phone in shock. In that moment, something fundamental shifted in how I viewed my parents. The people who had promised to always be there for us had just made it crystal clear that their weekend getaway took priority over their sick granddaughter and my career. Within minutes, I called my boss Mark, explaining the situation. His disappointment was palpable. Jason, this presentation has been scheduled for weeks. The entire board is coming. This is extremely unprofessional. My daughter is seriously ill, I replied, trying to keep my voice level while Delia coughed in the background. She may need emergency care. I cannot leave her. I understand family emergencies happen, he said coldly. But you should have better backup plans in place. Jack will have to present in your place. I cannot guarantee how this will affect the promotion decision. The choice was impossible, but also completely clear Delia needed me. Within an hour, I was sitting in the pediatrician's waiting room with my daughter curled against me, her breathing labored and her small body radiating heat. Doctor. Martin confirmed she had developed bronchitis dangerous with her asthma history and prescribed antibiotics and breathing treatments. The next 48 hours became a blur of medication schedules, temperature readings, and sleepless vigilance. I watched her breathe while she slept, counting the seconds between each rise and fall of her chest. The nebulizer treatments every 4 hours meant neither of us got more than 3 consecutive hours of sleep. Between her coughing fits, I found myself checking my phone, some part of me still hoping my parents might call to check on her condition to offer belated help. They never did. By Sunday evening, her fever finally broke, and the tightness in my chest eased slightly. As I tucked her in, her first real smile in days peeked through. Am I better now, Daddy? Getting there, sweetheart, I whispered, smoothing back her tangled hair. Getting there. Monday brought a different kind of fever, the cold reality of professional consequences. I walked into the office to find Jack Franklin occupying the corner desk that had been all but promised to me. Mark called me into his office briefly, his demeanor professional but distinctly chilly. The board was impressed with Jack's presentation. They offered him the director position on Friday afternoon. I know this is disappointing for you, but perhaps next time you will have more reliable childcare arrangements in place. The financial implications hit immediately. No salary increase meant continuing to juggle bills each month. No improved health insurance meant Delia's medications would continue straining our budget. The promotion I had worked toward for 2 years had vanished because I chose my child over a meeting, a choice any parent would make, a choice I would make again in a heartbeat. That evening, my phone chimed with a text from Mom. "How is Delia feeling?" "We just got back from our trip. The resort was wonderful, so relaxing. We took lots of pictures to show you both. No apology, no acknowledgement of what had happened. No recognition of the choice they had forced me to make. Just casual conversation, as if nothing had transpired, followed by a dozen vacation photos of them smiling with wine glasses against vineyard backdrops. Something hardened inside me that night as I lay awake calculating how to make it through another month on my current salary. The resentment grew roots deep and tangled as I remembered every sacrifice I had made for them over the years. Time, money, energy. I barely had to spare, all given freely because family helps family. Except when it inconveniences their weekend plans, apparently. 2 weeks later, Mom called in a panic. The upstairs bathroom pipe burst. There is water everywhere coming through the kitchen ceiling. Your father tried to fix it, but made it worse. We need you to come right away. For the first time in our adult relationship, I said no. I cannot drop everything and drive across town right now. Call a plumber. A plumber will charge us hundreds of dollars. You know how to fix these things. Yes, and my time has value too. I am sorry about your pipe, but Delia has a school event tonight I cannot miss. Their shock was almost audible through the phone. Dad got on the line next. Son, we really need your help here. The water damage is getting worse by the minute. Then you should call a professional immediately instead of waiting for me. I have to go now. My refusal to drop everything for their emergency marked a turning point. Over the next month, their requests continued: computer problems, yard work rides to appointments, and my answers remained the same. No, not this time. I have other commitments. Their tactics shifted from shock to guilt. After everything we did for you when Sarah died, we never thought our son would abandon us in our time of need. Is this how you teach Delia to treat family? Then came the financial requests. Small at first, borrowing $50 until their pension check arrived, asking me to pick up an expensive prescription because their budget was tight this month. Each time I gently declined, reminding them of my own financial constraints. Their response was to escalate dramatically. The financial demands started innocently: enough small loans that we all knew would never be repaid. $50 for an unexpected bill, $100 for car repairs. But within weeks, their requests grew bolder. They called about contributing to their retirement fund, suggesting I set up a monthly transfer to help them through their golden years. "We supported you your entire life," Mom said during one such call. "Now it is your turn to support us." I reminded them of my tight finances, especially after missing the promotion opportunity, but they brushed this aside. "Family makes sacrifices," Dad insisted, apparently forgetting their refusal to sacrifice a weekend getaway when we needed them most. The situation came to a head during our monthly Sunday dinner, a tradition I had maintained for Delia's sake despite the growing tension. I should have recognized the ambush when Mom suggested I come alone that evening, offering to order Delia's favorite pizza another time. "We need to have an adult conversation," she explained over the phone. I agreed, thinking perhaps they finally wanted to apologize for abandoning us during our time of need. I could not have been more wrong. After a silent, uncomfortable dinner, Dad retrieved a manila folder from his office and placed it on the dining table with ceremonial gravitas. Inside was a meticulously detailed financial accounting of what they termed the parental investment. "We have calculated everything we spent raising you," Mom explained, her voice businesslike. "Private school tuition, summer camps, your first car, college expenses, even food and housing costs during your childhood adjusted for inflation." The spreadsheet before me itemized 18 years of expenses down to estimated costs of the electricity I had used in their home. The final figure, $350,000, was highlighted in bold at the bottom of the page. "We are not asking for all of it," Dad clarified as if being reasonable. "Just 10% to help with our retirement." $35,000 seems fair considering everything we gave you. My mind flashed back to Delia's feverish body in my arms, to my parents' cold refusal to help when we truly needed them, to the promotion lost, to the financial stability that slipped through my fingers because they were not willing to sacrifice their weekend, to the $15,000 I had given them without question when Dad lost his job money. I had never asked to be repaid. Something inside me finally broke. "Let me understand this correctly," I said, my voice unnaturally calm. "You are presenting me with a bill for raising me, as if parenthood was a business transaction, as if I had any say in being born or any choice in the expenses you incurred." "Do not be dramatic," Mom scolded. "We are simply pointing out that parenting involves sacrifice, and now we need some help in return." Sacrifice. The word tasted bitter in my mouth, like when you refuse to help with your sick granddaughter because you were not willing to sacrifice your weekend plans. That kind of sacrifice. That was different, Dad interjected. "You cannot expect free childcare whenever you want it. We have lives too. It was not about childcare." My voice rose despite my efforts to remain calm. Delia was seriously ill. She needed care, and I needed to attend that presentation. I lost a promotion that would have significantly improved our financial situation because you prioritized a wine tasting over your granddaughter's health. Mom's face hardened. "You are being entitled. Parenthood is your responsibility, not ours. And apparently parenthood ends the moment your child turns 18, according to you. It becomes a balance sheet, a list of debts to be repaid." I stood up the chair, scraping loudly against the floor. "Let me give you my own accounting. 5 years of weekly home repairs. $15,000 loaned when Dad lost his job money. You never repaid while buying a new car the next year. Countless hours of technical support, transportation to appointments. Emotional support. All freely given because I thought that was what family did for each other. I never kept track because I never expected repayment." Their expressions shifted between shock and indignation as I continued. "But most importantly, let me tell you what you cannot put a price tag on: the trust that was broken when you abandoned your granddaughter during a medical emergency. The message you sent that your weekend enjoyment matters more than her well-being. The clarity you gave me about where we truly stand in your lives." I walked to the door, pausing with my hand on the knob. "Keep your spreadsheet. Consider your parental investment closed. Do not contact me for financial support again." The drive home was a blur, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. Delia was at a sleepover, thankfully missing the ugliness of the evening. For the first time, I felt relieved she had not witnessed an interaction with her grandparents. That night, I called my friend Michael, one of the few people who had stood by us consistently since Sarah's death. Unlike my parents, he had actually shown up during Delia's illness, dropping off homemade soup and offering to run errands. "They presented you with a bill for raising you," he repeated incredulously. "That is messed up, man. Seriously messed up." His validation helped solidify the decision forming in my mind. The following day, I called my therapist for an emergency session, laying out the entire situation in one emotionally exhausting hour. "What you are describing sounds like a pattern of transactional relationships," she noted. "Your parents appear to view family connections in terms of debts and credits rather than unconditional support. So I am not overreacting by considering cutting contact?" I asked. "Given the impact their behavior has had on both you and Delia, establishing firm boundaries is appropriate. Only you can decide what level of contact feels safe and healthy." Over the next week, I contemplated my options carefully. Maintaining the status quo meant subjecting Delia and myself to ongoing manipulation and guilt. Limiting contact might lead to more aggressive boundary pushing. Complete separation seemed drastic but increasingly necessary for our emotional health. I found an apartment across town, smaller than our current place but within the same school district, so Delia would not need to change schools. I signed the lease without telling my parents and arranged for movers to come on a Tuesday when they would be at their regular bridge game. Explaining the situation to an 8-year-old presented its own challenges. The evening before our move, I sat with Delia on our couch trying to find age-appropriate words. "Sweetheart, we are going to be moving to a new apartment tomorrow. It is in a building with a pool, and you will still go to the same school." Her initial excitement about the pool faded quickly. "But why are we moving, Daddy? I like our house." Sometimes grown-ups need space from each other to be healthier and happier, I explained carefully. Grandma and Grandpa have not been very kind lately, and Daddy needs some distance from them. Her small brow furrowed. Are they mad at us? They are upset with me for some grown-up reasons. But this is not about you, and it is not your job to fix it. Sometimes even family members need to take breaks from each other. Will I still see them? The question pierced my heart. Despite everything, she loved her grandparents. We are going to take a break from seeing them for a little while. Then we will see how everyone feels. The move itself went smoothly. I changed my phone number, blocked my parents on social media, and notified my workplace security not to allow them into the building after getting wind they might try to confront me there. Their reaction was swift and predictable. Unable to reach me directly, they launched a campaign through extended family members. Aunt Linda called to tell me I was breaking my mother's heart. Uncle Paul emailed about the importance of family forgiveness. Cousins I had not spoken to in years suddenly reached out with concern about the misunderstanding. When these efforts failed, my parents escalated. They showed up at my workplace, creating a scene in the lobby that required security intervention. They sent registered letters demanding repayment of various gifts they had given over the years, now retroactively classified as loans. They called from unknown numbers, leaving voicemails that oscillated between tearful pleas and angry accusations. Through it all, I maintained my silence, focusing instead on rebuilding our lives in the new apartment and supporting Delia through the transition. 6 months passed in blessed quiet after I blocked the last avenue of contact my parents had discovered. Those first months without them brought challenges I had not anticipated. Practical issues arose immediately. Who would watch Delia if I had a late meeting? What happened if I got sick and could not take care of her? The support network I had relied on had a gaping hole where my parents should have been. Necessity forced creativity. I connected with 2 other single parents in our apartment building, forming a childcare cooperation system. I befriended our elderly neighbor, Mrs. Winters, who delighted in having Delia visit after school, teaching her to knit while I worked late. My coworker Teresa and I began carpooling our children to the same soccer practice, saving us both time and building friendship. Delia asked about her grandparents less frequently as weeks passed, but occasional questions still came, usually at bedtime when her defenses were down. Does Grandma still make those cookies I like? Is Grandpa's garden growing tomatoes this summer? Each question squeezed my heart, but I answered honestly without bitterness, protecting her from the adult complexities while acknowledging her loss. The guilt nearly overwhelmed me some nights. Had I done the right thing? Was I punishing my parents too harshly? Was I depriving Delia of relationships she valued? My therapist helped me work through these questions, reminding me that boundaries were not punishment but protection, that Delia deserved relationships with people who would not abandon her when inconvenient. Professionally, unexpected opportunities emerged from the ashes of my lost promotion. Freed from weekly obligations to my parents, I channeled more energy into work and special projects. Mark had left for another company, and his replacement, Andrea, noticed my dedication and expertise without the baggage of past judgments. You have solid marketing instincts, she told me during my performance review. And your client retention numbers are impressive. I would like you to head the new digital transformation team. Though not the senior director position I had originally sought, this new role came with a modest salary increase and professional development opportunities. More importantly, it offered flexible hours that better accommodated single parenthood. Then, 4 months into our new life, a plain white envelope arrived at my office with my father's distinctive handwriting. I almost discarded it unread, but something, curiosity or perhaps lingering attachment, made me open it. Inside was a 5-page handwritten letter. Not typed, not printed, but written in my father's careful penmanship that slanted slightly to the right, just as I remembered from birthday cards throughout my childhood. I am writing without your mother's knowledge, it began. She remains convinced we did nothing wrong and that your reaction was entirely unwarranted. I have spent months reflecting on what happened, and I need to tell you something I should have said long ago. I was wrong. We were wrong. The letter continued with a level of self-reflection I had never witnessed from my father. He acknowledged their selfishness in refusing to help during Delia's illness. He recognized the one-sided nature of support in our relationship for years. Most surprisingly, he admitted that the financial demands had been inappropriate and manipulative. Your mother still believes we are entitled to financial support from you, but I no longer share that view. Watching you grow into the devoted father you have become to Delia has forced me to reconsider what parenthood truly means. The unconditional love you show her stands in sharp contrast to the conditional support we offered you. He closed by asking if we might meet just the two of us at a coffee shop of my choosing. No pressure, no demands, just a conversation. Even if you choose not to respond, please know that I am proud of you for standing up for yourself and for Delia. It took becoming a grandparent for me to recognize my failures as a parent. I read the letter 3 times, emotions swirling too chaotically to name. Anger, hope, skepticism, longing all competed for dominance. I tucked the letter into my desk drawer and left it there for 2 weeks, unsure how to proceed or even what I wanted. My healing journey had progressed significantly in those months of separation. Therapy had helped me recognize patterns from my childhood, that I had normalized the subtle emotional manipulation, the transactional nature of their love, the way they kept score while I gave freely. I learned to identify these dynamics and consciously choose different patterns for my relationship with Delia. I found myself measuring each decision against a simple question. What message does this send to my daughter? This clarity of purpose became my North Star, guiding choices large and small. Setting boundaries with my parents was not just about my well-being, but about modeling healthy relationships for Delia. After considerable reflection, I responded to my father with a brief email suggesting a meeting at a neutral cafe halfway between our homes. I arrived early, choosing a table with a clear view of the door, half expecting both parents to appear despite his promise to come alone. But there was just Dad, looking older and more uncertain than I remembered, hesitating at the entrance before spotting me. Our conversation started awkwardly, neither of us quite sure how to bridge the chasm that had formed. Gradually, as the caffeine from our second cups took effect, words began flowing more naturally. Your mother does not know I am here, he confirmed. She still feels we are the wronged party in all this, but I cannot share that view anymore. Losing contact with you and Delia has been. His voice cracked, slightly devastating in ways I never anticipated. I needed to protect Delia and myself, I said simply. The relationship had become harmful to both of us. He nodded slowly. I understand that now. It should not have taken losing you both to recognize it, but it did. We established careful parameters for moving forward. Any contact would be on my terms with clear boundaries. Time with Delia would be supervised initially and contingent on respectful behavior. Financial discussions were permanently off-limits. And Mom, I asked, knowing this was the most complicated aspect. She is not ready to admit any wrongdoing, he acknowledged. But losing you has affected her deeply. She cries when she sees children Delia's age. Perhaps in time. I made no promises about reconciliation with my mother. That bridge would require significant reconstruction with efforts from both sides. For now, this tentative reconnection with Dad felt like enough of a challenge. Our new family configuration evolved gradually. Delia and I created our own traditions: Sunday morning pancakes with chocolate chips and blueberries arranged in smiley faces, summer picnics at the lake, with Michael's family monthly movie marathons with blanket forts in the living room. We built a chosen family of friends who showed up consistently, who offered support without keeping score. Dad joined us occasionally for these gatherings, somewhat awkwardly at first, but with increasing comfort as months passed. He brought small, thoughtful gifts for Delia, books about strong female scientists, art supplies for her growing interest in painting, never the excessive toys or electronics that had previously been his go-to presents. 3 months after our first meeting, Mom reached out through Dad asking if she could see Delia for her birthday. I agreed to a short visit in a public park with me present throughout. The reunion was strained but civil, with Mom clearly making efforts to respect the boundaries I had established. She brought a single, well-chosen gift, rather than the excessive pile that had been her previous pattern. Most notably, she asked Delia questions about her interests and actually listened to the answers instead of steering the conversation back to herself. As I drove home from that meeting, Delia clutching her new art set in the back seat, she asked a question that crystallized everything this journey had taught me. Daddy, why do some grown-ups think love means owing things? From the mouths of babes comes wisdom. Adults struggle years to articulate. That is a really insightful question, sweetheart. Some people confuse love with transactions, giving things to get things back. But real love does not keep score. It gives freely because it wants the best for the other person. She considered this seriously, her small face thoughtful in the rearview mirror. I like the not keeping score kind better. Me too, Delia, I smiled. Me too. The hard-won lessons of this experience fundamentally changed my understanding of family. Blood relation does not automatically confer the right to demand sacrifice without reciprocity. Parenthood does not entitle anyone to emotional or financial debt collection from their children. Love when genuine flows without ledgers or balance sheets. Most importantly, I learned that breaking toxic cycles requires courage but yields freedom that benefits generations to come. By refusing to accept the manipulative patterns I had grown up with, I was giving Delia permission to expect and create healthier relationships throughout her life. Our journey with my parents continues, cautiously rebuilding on new foundations with clearly defined boundaries. Mom has begun her own therapy, finally acknowledging that perhaps the issue was not entirely one-sided. Dad and I speak weekly now, our conversations gradually recovering some of the warmth that had been lost. They see Delia monthly under circumstances carefully designed to protect her emotional well-being. I still maintain the support network we built during those months of separation, the village of friends and neighbors who stepped up when biology stepped back. They remain our safety net, our chosen family, reminding us that true support comes without invoices attached. Has your family ever presented you with unexpected bills for past support? How did you handle toxic family dynamics while protecting your children? Share your experiences in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe to hear more journeys of setting boundaries and finding freedom. Remember that family is defined by love and support, not obligation or blood. Sometimes the most important family members are the ones we choose. Thank you for listening to my story, and may you find the strength to create healthy relationships in your own life.